Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises and double honors due to Yahweh by Shem HaMashiach Malak Yahushai. Secondly, Brother Yardan, WFI Detroit, coming back at you with yet another video. Now, the title of this lesson is Laziness. And before I go into this lesson, I want to give a salute to the men, women, and children that are scattered throughout the four corners of this world, laboring day in and day out. And laboring consists of praying, fasting, studying, reading, alms, charity, bringing forth fruit meet for repentance. And remember that your works are not in vain, pursuing 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. So with that being said, laziness, what is it? What exactly is laziness? Here's the definition I pulled up. Now, a lot of Israelites may be aware, but for those who are not aware of what laziness is, or the definition, it reads this. Laziness, also known as indolence or sloth, is defined as an emotional disinclination to activity or exertion, despite having the ability to act. So the objective of this video is to help Israel identify what is laziness, how to rebuke it, and just simply understand in spirits. Because what is a spirit? A spirit is also referred to as an angel in the scriptures. In fact, those words can sometimes be used interchangeably. For an example, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, verse 7, it reads this, "And the angels, he saith, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire." The angel is just simply, in so many words, a flame of fire, a spirit. And so, again, there's many angels. There's many spirits. Now you have, as what this world may colloquially call or refer to as demons. A demon is just simply an angel, but on the left-hand side. Left hand symbolizing wickedness, right? And or evilness, things that's harmful for us, things to separate us from the Most High. And then you have righteous angels. In fact, some of their names are even mentioned, such as Michael, Gabriel. So I want to bring out the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created, and I want to read that again slowly. There be spirits, aka angels, that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appeaseth the wrath of him that made them. Because again, at the end of the day, the Most High made all these spirits. He made all things. And so there are certain spirits that are created for vengeance and to lay sore strokes upon man. And what's laziness but a spirit just laying on sore strokes for man? Because laziness is hindering you from building up the kingdom of heaven. So I have a few precepts to allow us to identify what is laziness. Because this is a spiritual warfare. The Lord God, the Most High, Yahweh Shem HaMashiach, he's a man of war. And so we learn war from him. We learn how to combat these spirits from him. Even on a carnal level, you have to understand certain tactics in warfare. For an example, a boxer may have to understand southpaw. He may have to switch his stance when it comes to certain opponents. So how much more information and knowledge should you have when it comes to spirits? Something that could potentially pull you out the truth. So let's begin with the book of Proverbs. Chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So the soul of the sluggard, he desireth, but hath nothing. Meaning he may have an idea or he may want, but he's not going to get it because he's lazy. And that's that same ninja at work. Or I'm sure we all worked with that ninja that he has so many ideas, but he couldn't execute it. That's slothfulness. That's laziness. Because as we read earlier, the definition, right? Having the ability, salakia, this is the definition: emotional disinclination to activity or exertion despite having the ability to act. So, I mean, that's sick. And even as you continue to read, brain fog, a lack of motivation, fatigue, that's what laziness is. That's what that spirit does to you. And like any other evil, bad spirit, it's a parasite. What's the life or the role of a parasite? Its purpose in life is to feed off the host. So this demon is feeding off of you. And in fact, really, you open the doors to this demon to feed off of you. That's that same ninja at work that just, well, the CEO is making all this money. Oh, hey, I think we should put our heads together and do this. And then you come late to work the next day. So you gotta understand. You gotta understand what the spirit is. You gotta ask yourself, damn, have I been moving like that? Is there any way or chance that potentially that the spirit is creeping upon me? Because the same way you look in the mirror on a carnal level before you leave the house to make sure there's no blemish on your garment or no stuff in your face, no spinach in your teeth, no eggs on your face, your hair straight, no eye gunk. You make sure your face on a carnal level is perfect before you leave. But what about on a spiritual level? And again, that's the purpose of this lesson, is to help Israel identify these spirits, to help you examine yourself, to exhort you to examine yourself. So with that, I'm going to pull the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 19. As in water face answer to face, so the heart of man to man. Again, as the example I brought out earlier about the man looking in the mirror, that's what water is. Water is just simply a mirror to allow you to examine yourself. So when you look at yourself, I'm sure you may have some questions. I got to do this, I got to do that. What about your heart? What was the last thing you said about your heart? When was the last time you sat down, had a heart-to-heart, as they say, with yourself, and say, damn, I got to do this. I haven't been doing that. I've been slothful with this. And you'll be a liar to say that I've never dealt with any slothful spirit, any laziness spirit. All man has dealt with that spirit. But the purpose of this video and these precepts, the words of the Lord, is to heal us and to rebuke these spirits and to remember these precepts and the times of that evil, nasty, creepy thought or words just uttering, do it later, do it tomorrow. You got time, nigga. You hearing all these wicked thoughts. That's how the laziness spirit is going to present itself. It's not going to materialize into there's no mascot for laziness. There's no mascot for these different variations of demons. So it's not going to just knock on your door and say, hey, I'm lazy. Let me just walk in your house, okay? If it was that easy, everybody would rebuke it. But Satan being crafty, he has many devices. He has many snares to enable you, to push you, I would say, to be lazy. And when you have one spirit on you, what's stopping you from having several more? So your mind is like a fortress. And if it's easily broken, it's susceptible to many critters, creeping beasts, four-footed beasts, flying beasts, to just impede onto your foundation and break through and just become their new habitation. And beasts, creeping things, fowls. How many beasts, creeping things, and fowls do you have in your house? And then ask yourself, why don't I have these things in my house? Because they're nasty, they're filthy, they're beasts. So how much more spirits and demons and thoughts in your mind? So you have to fortify your mind, even when it comes to that slothful spirit. So it reads in Proverbs 13 and 27, the slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of the diligent man is precious. And that's playing upon tables. And in fact, you can draw the parallel of Esau. Esau is a slothful man that doesn't roast what he hunteth. And that's deep because on one fold, that proves what? He just likes to kill. He likes to murder. Which is why you go on Google and type in, I forgot what they call it, just hunting. They hunt lions and they don't even eat the lion. Not that you should, but they don't even eat it. They just hunt it, cut off the head, and put it on their wall. They kill elephants. They kill ostrich. They kill animals that you would never think that should be killed. Just for fun, for kicks and giggles. And what does he do? He don't do a damn thing with it. He's just a slothful man. He doesn't even do anything profitable with it. But, that aside, you'll understand the point of the precept is telling you that when you're a righteous man is going to be diligent and roast what he gathers. But a slothful man, he won't do that. He'll just be lazy. And on another note, on a carnal level, when you're not properly nourishing your body, that's a form of laziness. Not properly nourishing your body. For two reasons. One, it's the Lord's body. And so, you're really renting it out, if you will, in so many words. And on another note, the Lord said in Sirach 30 and 15 that the body's above. Let's pull it out. Let's just pull it out. Proverbs 30 and 15. Health and good estate of the body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. And you have to ask yourself, I'm going to pose a question. How much money would it take for you to just give up your body? I'm sure everybody would say none. There's no amount of money. So that proves that your body is above money. It's worth more than money. And things that are worth more than money, typically, they're referred to as priceless. Things that are priceless should be taken into consideration of how much, polishing and, protection it deserves. Things that are priceless, like that baseball you caught at a baseball game, and you just put it on the top of your shelf, and it's in a glass box, protected. That's priceless. So your body's above all these things. Your body's above, money. And so you have to take care of it. You have to be diligent and not be slothful and lazy with providing your body the proper nutrients. That goes back to Proverbs 13. It's like 12 and 26. So with that, I got a few more precepts. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. So you have no ambition, and you're just feeding this demon because you're idle. Being idle is just sitting around like this. Idleness is what ninjas do on the corners every Friday and Saturday in 80-degree weather in white t-shirts at the corner store with 40 in their hands and weed. That's idleness. I mean, you're no different than them when you just sit around and let your Bible collect dust and your family's just yearning for shit. It's just like for truth, right? Your family's yearning for truth, and you just, we'll read next week. I'll read next month. It's the time and the place, right? Hold on. I got other things to do. You're just becoming a man that maketh excuses and prolongeth and put off from day to day. That's what man says with Christ. Yahushua, he's not coming back. He putteth off from day to day. I'll see him never. But I'll get to that later. I want to stick on track with Proverbs. It was at 19 and verse 15. 19 and 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and idle soul shall suffer hunger. And you're supposed to be thirsty in this truth. Your heart is supposed to desire the Lord. Remember what David said in Psalm 63 and 1? What did our forefather David say? A mighty man. Psalm chapter 63, verse 1. O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth after thee. What does it mean when his soul thirsteth after the Lord? He couldn't get enough of the Most High's wisdom. He couldn't get enough of the scriptures. He read the Torah. He read the scriptures of our forefathers. He couldn't get enough. He wanted more wisdom. I mean, he was ambitious. That's what you call ambitious. You're supposed to have ambitious. Supposed to be have some eagerness for the Lord. Oh, I gotta read this. I haven't read this yet. I gotta get in there. Hold up, where's my calendar so I can time block and put I'm reading for 1 hour. Where's your thirstiness for the Lord, man? Ask yourself, am I thirsty for the Lord? For Yahweh Shem Yahushai? Slothfulness cast into a deep sleep, and idle souls shall suffer hunger. And that's deep too, because if you're too lazy, why would you get up and eat? I mean, if you're so super lazy, there's no point of getting up and eat. So you're just gonna starve. And how much more with this spiritual food that the Most High gave us? This food fills us up, man. This food make you laugh, make you examine yourself, make you cry, make you feel joyful, make you want to preach the word, change your life. This is that food that you need in your diet. You know, I mean, Abaratazah, is where, you can hearken unto the precepts, thus saith the Lord, and apply it to your life. I know I will, Lord willing. So let's give a few more and we'll wind down. Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18. And you may not know you're being lazy. You may not know it. But putting off is a form of laziness. You continue in small things little by little, and therefore you shall fall little by little. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 18. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. So this is some how do you say, architectural proverbs. So this is deep. By much slothfulness the building decayeth. He's saying this for a reason. If you ever seen a building decay and the bricks just start falling off, it's because there's no maintenance. Nobody's properly examining the building. That's why you have people who are, what are they called? They're called, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, building inspectors. You got building inspectors. You have house inspectors. Their job and sole duty is to examine a house. That's what the Levites did. If there was plague in a house, they'll yank out that brick pursuing the Leviticus 14 and 40 on down or 35 on down, and they'll pull out that brick and they'll cast it without. That's them examining the building. Because a building with mold or plague is going to decay, and therefore destroys the structural integrity of the house. The beams just start to fold in, and nobody's fixing a washer, nobody's fixing the cabinets. It just decays. What else does it read? And through idleness of hands the house droppeth through. And even let's say, you may be in a certain position of leadership, or perhaps, you watch over your house, whether you be a man or woman, whatever the case may be. You just stop putting your hands to the house and it just falls through. That means you just fail. You just stopped. You stopped pushing. You gave up. You threw in the towel. You turned into a bummer light. You might as well. Right? Because that's what a slacker is. That's what they call people at work. You're slacking. Our forefathers wasn't slacking. And if they was, they got corrected. 2 Thessalonians 3 and 10. You don't want to be a slacker, hanging around with your thumb up your rump, just twiddling your thumbs, tickling your toes. It's not the time to be tickling your toes and just coming home from work and binge watching TV. You're watching 3 movies back to back. A movie in itself is already an hour and some change. At most 2. Come on, you know? No brother should be watching 3 movies in one day. That's madness. It's so time consuming. Watching 3 movies in one day. So, 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any if any would not work, neither should he eat. Now this is touching on a spiritual and physical level. On a spiritual level, you gotta work. You gotta labor. The Lord referred to this world as a vineyard. And if I'm not mistaken, in Matthew chapter 13, he said the laborers are few, but the harvest is plenty. So the Lord is weighing everything in a balance. Again, he's weighing everything in a balance. And a balance is a scale set to measure 2 things, set to measure the worth of something. And if you're just being slothful, he's measuring that. And your amount of slothfulness could be heavy as lead. It could be as heavy as a ton of bricks. So you don't want to be slothful. Because if you're that slothful, then what righteousness are you doing? And if it's slim to no righteousness, that's what your reward will be in the kingdom of heaven. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is going to be a structure, and there's still rank and order. I mean, Yahushua tells us in the Gospels, when you read the Gospels, that the kingdom of heaven shall be like unto, and explains and gives his words, what the kingdom of heaven will be like. And in some cases, men are working in the kingdom of heaven. People just don't stop working and just kick up your feet. Men are going to be working and establishing order. You could be that man that may have a rule over 3 cities, or be in a high position of government. Or you may be that man, and there's nothing wrong with this man if he's in the kingdom, but you may be that man that just may have nothing. He may have 100 acres a yard, or maybe a 500 square feet of a backyard. There's nothing wrong with those things, but I mean, the Lord